the Atmizoo tripod RTA. Let's have a look. Hey guys, Ben Vick here, back with another review. Today we are looking at this. This is the Atmizoo tripod RTA, a brand new RTA from Atmizoo, Atmizone, 22mm wide, 2mm capacity, top fill, single coil, juice flow control, airflow control, mouth to lung capability and restricted direct lung capability. It does that using drop-in pins. I will show you that down low, but you can restrict the airflow all the way down to 1mm if you want that true authentic mouth to lung draw, or you can have it like I've got it right now, fully open, 2.5mm air hole open, restricted direct to lung. So a very versatile low wattage tank, very well made, very well put together, great packaging and all that sort of stuff as well. It's vaping a bit like this. Very nice as well. That's at 25 watts. Very interesting tank. Let's go down low so you can straight away have a little look. I'll put a little build in, I'll wick it up, I'll show you all the packaging and all that stuff. Then we'll come back up top for pros and cons. See you in a sec. Alright guys, here we are down low with the Atmizoo by Atmizone tripod RTA. Awesome packaging as always. I have the stainless steel one. There's a matte finish available as well. But really cool packaging, really cool packaging. Opening this tin up, we get a little thank you message and the booklet as well. But then look at this presentation. So you've got your spare glass tank, you've got your tank actual RTA here, and then you've got these plugs which we'll get back to. 1mm air hole, 1.2, 1.5 and 1.8. So you're absolutely covered if you're a proper mouth to lunger with this. And then you've got your tank. Let's have a look at this. So this is it, giving it a nice clean down. So you've got your drip tip up top. Now I don't know if it's supposed to be a 510 or not. I can't get mine out. It seems to be fixed to me. Now it's perfectly matching the tank, so I have no reason to change it. I don't know if it's supposed to be a 510 or not, but mine is really firmly fixed in, and it doesn't appear to be a traditional 510. I'm not sure about the drip tip, but I really like it and it matches the tank really nice, so I'm happy to keep it on. I'm not sure about the drip tip at all, but I like it, and it seems to be fixed in for me. Moving down the tank, you've got your adjustable airflow here. Obviously that is backing up with the pins that we'll go into in a second as well. Underneath we've got Atmizoo and our serial number as well. And then we come to the top of the tank. We've got top fill. Now, don't know how well this will come out on camera, but you've got a little arrow here, and then you've got a little mark a little bit lower on the tank, and if you line those two up, the top cap comes off, and then you've got very generous top fill. Stick your nozzle in that hole, the air will pull out of there as you're filling it up. No issue at all. Obviously when you're lining it back up to push back on, you're pushing it in line with that hole as well, like that, and then you just turn it a bit so they're not lined up, and happy days. You've also got juice flow control with this tank as well, so you can see it's closed right now, but if we spin the tank, you can see there we go, it's now open, so your juice flow will now flow freely, and if it gets too juiced up or whatever, you can close it back down again. So that is that. Now if we keep turning this, eventually you will see an arrow. Now you want the arrow on here to line up with the arrow in the tank. Can you see that? Let's just get it perfectly lined up. So you've got an arrow on the juice flow control inside, and you've got an arrow on the actual barrel chamber of the tank. You get those lined up and it comes off. So that is how you get into your actual deck as well. You line that arrow there with that arrow on the barrel, and that is how you do that. 2mm capacity, this is glass. and that's what it looks like inside. All very neat, all very well done indeed. This is your deck. Now, so as we said before, we had these pins. These pins here. Now you can push these pins into this hole here. Literally just push fit in, and obviously you can restrict the draw, so it's about 2.5 mil as it comes, and then you can close it down to 1.8, 1.5, 1.2 and 1 mil hole. So really tight mouth to lung draw if you want it, or restricted direct to lung if you want it as well. I'm going to keep mine fully open for now. You know how I like my draw. 25 watts restricted draw, so I'm going to keep mine as is. I'm going to put these posts up as well. As you can see, it's a sort of traditional thing. You put one lead in here, one lead in here, your coil goes like that. Happy days, that's how we do it. I'm going to bung a cheeky coil in. There we go, just check that we're happy with how that is lined up. Tighten it a bit more. And there we go, that is our coil. So that's quite a big coil for this tank. Obviously with this design, this style, the bigger coil you put on, the more cotton that gets in here, the more restricted that gets. But I'm liking the restriction with a coil about this size. And yeah, there's plenty of clearance over the top, so no issue with that either. So you get it looking like that, and then you stick your cotton in. It's a surprisingly generous tank when it comes to cotton. You'd think you would just be dabbing a little blob down each side, possibly just at a glance, but you're actually not. You can get away with quite a lot of cotton in here. It's very forgiving, and you've got the juice flow control as well. So the juice flow control does help. You know, if you end up not using enough cotton, you've always got that safety net of being able to close down the juice flow. So it's looking a bit like this. Tiny bit off this side, slightly too much, but never mind. So we're just going to straighten this out a little bit, even it up a little bit as well, and then we're just dipping the cotton into the chamber. And like I say, it's surprising how much you can get away with in here. It just wicks very, very well, this tank, for whatever reason. So put some in there, and then we'll put some in here as well. You do need it quite tightly packed in this section here and this section here, because if it's too loose, it goes in that hole and it's just going to flood over the top here. So it does need to be quite tightly packed. If you're getting dry hits, obviously you've used too much. If it's flooding, you've not used enough. But I think you'll very quickly find it's a very accessible tank, very easy to get right. I'll give you a quick look at the wicking as well. So you just need it nice and fluffy down both sides. No craziness there really at all. And then you just need to juice it up a bit and then put it back together. Okay, so final piece of the puzzle on here. Final setting, so you've picked which pin you want for the amount of air coming up through, you've adjusted your airflow, all that sort of stuff. There's one last brilliantly genius optional thing that you can choose, and that is this. This is the reducer. This is a reducer piece which reduces the chamber inside the tank. Absolutely so smart. So what you do is, if you want it in mouth to lung or very low wattage, you pop that in there, and you pop this piece in here, and then you just get like a, you know, like a big flathead screwdriver or something. You just tighten that in, you tighten that piece in, and as you can see, that reduces the chamber inside. Really clever. And this is what it looks like without it, so a little bit bigger. So if you're direct to lung in this, if you're direct to lung in it, then probably without the reducer is best. If you're mouth to lung in it, probably with the reducer is best, but experiment both ways and see how you feel. You can play with this independent of your build and all that, so as long as you haven't got juice in. So yeah, you've got that option as well. If you take the reducer out and you've got that full hole going on here, this full hole here, then you've got the full 4 mil. So if you've got no pin in the bottom, you've got your airflow wide open, and you've got this open as well, you've got a full 4 mil of airflow, and that's the highest restricted direct to lung setting. Putting it back together, the best way to do it is to locate the arrow here, and then locate the arrow there, and just try and get it neatly together like that. Then give it a turn to make sure it's locked in, and then get your airflow how you want it. You're going to have to move that anyway once you've filled it up. Then we're going back to the top and looking for the notches on the top. Pull that off. And it juices up a treat. Find that notch again. Turn the top, and there we go. Back together. The tripod RTA, obviously the final step, is to open your juice flow control. There we go. Now we're open, and it's already wicking away beautifully. There we go. The tripod RTA from Atmizoo. Let's go up top for pros and cons. Okay guys, that was the tripod RTA down low from Atmizoo. Really interesting RTA. I've actually had the beta version for a good few months now, so you're quite familiar with this tank after all this time. The improvements and tweaks they've made from the beta, absolutely spot on. Quickly mention about the drip tip, talked about it down low. Check my notes. So what the situation with the drip tip is, it's a 2-part screw drip tip. So you can unscrew this section and you can unscrew the section in between. So you can use this drip tip like this, or you can remove the 2 screwing parts and put a 510 in. So you can use your own 510, and there's no raised section or anything like that. So a normal drip tip looks absolutely flush on there if that's what you want to do. So yeah, it can take normal 510 drip tips, but this one is a screw-in design. So that's the drip tip thing. Okay, so I have it fully open, none of the pins in, at 25 watts with a 0.5 build. Lovely restriction on this, very smooth, very quiet, a really Flavorsome vape as well. You saw that down low, you saw that big coil in that little chamber, air directly underneath, very little gap between the air hole and the coil as well, and it just creates, you know, a little pot of flavour, and a very smooth vape. Really nice. Going through the things, really clever design on the way the parts go together. You can never accidentally pull this tank apart or accidentally unscrew it off. It's on latch system, so you've got your marks at the top on the top cap, and you've got your marks on the barrel section as well. So you turn it to the right place to take the top off, and you turn it to the right place on the base to take the base off. Very clever, very nice, very nice way of doing things. Very slick, very simple. That also allows them to have a very generous top fill, so you can really just squirt your juice in there as well. It's got juice flow control like I showed you down low. You literally, when it's all together and back on the mod, it's very easy. You just grab it by the glass section and you just maneuver it to where you want it to go. Airflow control, you just grab that by the bottom ring to adjust your airflow. And yeah, it's very simple, but very effective. And not a lot of tanks have done this for some reason, but when it's done like this, so slick and smart, it just totally works, that way of doing things. I also like how slick the little markings are on it. They're not like a big arrow pointing at where they need to line up. It's very subtle, and so it keeps a very nice looking tank indeed. Building and wicking, as I said down low, because you've got juice flow control, you have got a bit of leeway with how you wick this. What I found, I must have done 20 builds on this tank in total, because I've had the beta for months. What I found is I'm continually surprised by how much cotton you can put in there, and it still wicks absolutely fine. It seems to just be able to wick no matter what. So you really just get those 2 lumps of cotton and really just just plug those two holes, plug it right down, and it just wicks so well. It really wicks really fast, really nicely. If it's getting carried away, you can always just close the juice flow for a couple of draws anyway. So wicking, no issue at all. You don't have to skimp and trim and fluff and just place over the top. There's none of that with this tank. You just get it to the right length, approximately to the edge of the tank, and just bung them in. And so very easy to wick. In terms of coiling, it couldn't get much simpler. One lead pointing one way, one lead pointing the other, slide them in, screw it down, place it right over the middle. It's surprisingly generous. There's quite a fat coil I've got in here. It's a 3mm wide twisted canthal build that I've got in here, so it's quite a chunky build and it fits in there absolutely no problem. So you can get quite nice big builds in there if you want to, or you can just do your traditional little mouth to lung builds as well. So no issue with building it or wicking it at all, really. Just really like the draw, like what a relaxed vape it is, but yet so tasty. Some of these lower wattage tanks struggle on flavour a little bit. Not this one at all. Very slick, very flavoursome tank. I think it looks great as well. There's something about these 22mm RTAs. It just looks so much classier than the big fat bubble tank monsters that are out there now. I just think it looks very slick, very smart. I don't know if they're planning to do bigger glass or an extender tank or anything like that, but as it comes, 2mm capacity with a replacement glass if you break this one. Overall, I'm really impressed. My kind of tank. It's like a Squape, it's like a K-Fun, it's got that sort of Typhoon as well. It's got that sort of classic low wattage tank situation going on. It's right up there with all of those. It's a very nice vape indeed. I don't have too many negatives. The negatives for me would be, and this isn't a big negative at all, but obviously once you've got your coil in place, you can't really mess around with the plugs. You need to take the coil out to change the plugs. I would say that. Sometimes it can feel a little bit fiddly getting your airflow right and your juice flow right. What I found the trick with that is get it right tight, then open them back up. So go tight and then open them up to get your juice flow open and your air hole open at the same time. But that's not a negative at all. That's just something you'll get used to with it. Other negatives, really struggling to find any, to be honest. Flavour's great. Mouth to lungs brilliantly. I know I haven't shown it you in mouth to lung mode, but the mouth to lung, once you get that tight pin in, is absolutely lovely. If you're one of these mouth to lung vapors actually likes quite a loose mouth to lung, it caters for you as well with those pins. The 1.5 pin I think you will find absolutely perfect. I know when I did the Saver, a lot of people were hoping for a 1.5 pin. With mine I had a 1mm and a 2.5mm. So I had either end of this spectrum, but they wanted the ones in between, and so it's got that. So if you found the Saver, you wanted the airflow right in the middle of where it was, then this is probably definitely worth a look, because it does do that. Yeah, great tank. It's a great tank. It's a great vape. It's a lovely tank, and I really like it. Definitely go check it out. 2 colours available. There's like a matte stainless steel, and there's this not traditional stainless steel as well. So check those out. I'll put a link in the description. I think it's going to be about £100 in the UK, something like that. Very nice indeed. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.